with the permission set question, it's about the fact that Salesforce is going to be removing and object access rules from profiles and putting them into permission sets. This is going to be happening in a couple of years' time. So it's not tomorrow, but it will happen soon. And it's a really good time for you to think about what your security is really up for. So understanding exactly what permissions you're giving people and what they're willing to have to do their job. And the good thing about permission sets is you can have permission set groups. You can also have permission sets that will unwind other permissions. So you can have a very powerful setup with just a few profiles, and then have a couple of permission sets out there. One of the things you should be looking at is using a persona-based approach. So if your company sells widgets, you've probably got back office people, you've got salespeople, you've got sales managers, you've got support people, and you've got people in the shipping department. That's 5 different personas, and they should have their own access to data. Now, salespeople and sales managers are probably going to be very similar. So you might be able to do that with a permission set for the sales users and then a permission set on top just for the sales manager that adds a little bit extra. So the capabilities of these tools are very powerful. Salesforce has done a lot of work to actually make permission sets much more flexible. And under the covers, actually profiles are stored in permission sets now anyway. But the profile itself will be keeping things like page layouts, your default record types, and a few other bits and pieces. But the majority of what you should be doing is moving all of your object access and all of your security attributes, like can you do view all data and that type of thing. Those settings should be stored in your permission sets. And it's probably a good time to have a good look at what you have today, understand what you should be moving to in the future. Other than that, there's not really that much to cover off, except if you're not quite sure about how you should be using permission sets, in the PDF that Saurabh talked about and was sharing with you, there's a great video stream from Salesforce, which has about, I think, 10 to 12 different videos explaining exactly who can see what and why in Salesforce. And it goes through all that sort of stuff with permission sets, et cetera, explaining how it all works. A very capable thing.
I totally agree. And thank you for taking that question. I remember the time when profiles were just all over the place. Organizations would have hundreds of profiles, and it was a nightmare to figure out who's doing what kind of access. And it just used to be like such a huge security risk. I think permission sets make this really granular. You can apply expiration to it. You can bring a lot of really interesting flexibility to do this. But Doug, I agree with what you're saying. I think persona-based is such a good way to look at it. In a lot of organizations, what's unfortunate is that security tends to be an afterthought, right? We are in this hurry of release feature, and that makes it harder for security to be emphasized and treated as a very important thing. Granted, certain sectors, this does not apply, but I think in general, one of the areas that organizations can benefit from immensely is really increasing the sort of business importance and posture of security at large. When you look at integrated systems like Salesforce, there's so much of your business and processes and customer data that's running through it that it was never a better time than today to definitely lock it down, whether it's on the application, the data, the AI, the training, all of these aspects, these 4 areas that you're looking at.